Hello, Drunkduckers. This is the Drunkduck Quackcast number 710. As I mentioned, with me is Tantz and Baines. Hello.
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 Hello. Hello. The Quackcast come and we wanna go.
I was like it had like a flair of like Harry Belafonte here.
Exactly. All right, so we're going to talk about momentary greatness, fleeting greatness, and ducks in the wind. So there we are. But first, that was the Drunkduck theme. Oh my god, that music is so fantastic. It's only fleeting. It's only like, less than a minute long, I think. But, it's so great. And greatness, oh my god. It doesn't take long to create, but it can, or enjoy. No, it takes a long time to create, but not long to enjoy. But the impact is still massive. There we are. That sums up the Quackcast completely. Thank you for listening to Drunkduck Quackcast number 710. I've been as an ocean in the stars of face. But okay, so we have a featured comic. Oh my god, a featured comic that Quai is going to tell us about, being the lovely person she is. So I hope you enjoy Geist Gears.
Hello, this is Quackcast, and the feature I've selected for this week is Geist Gears by Emma X. Ross, and it is rated T for teen. Maple, the daughter of Kara, is celebrating her 18th birthday, and her grandfather, the professor, has a very special pocket watch to deliver that will ensure the current generation's future. It has been 32 years since the Wickcroft incident, when the same demon who turned Burnsville into a smoking crater left a trail of injured upperclassmen students in front of a school. That day, Kara, the professor's daughter, met up with her friends Vince and Isabel before witnessing a spectacle between the professor's celestial arts and a demon's attacks. A battle between two opposing forces is the perfect training ground for a Geist hunter. The art and text bubbles are completed digitally using a great technique showing light burst effects. The battle scenes make good usage of onomatopoeia and fight choreography. Watch a Dragon Buster face against Heaven's Crown Second Choir Archangel with a bound blade, and read Geist Gears by Emma X. Ross, rated T.
That was Quackcast with Geist Gears. Alright. After that we have featured music. Gummels has given us the theme to Nosebleed. A fiery raw blast of hot, smoky goodness spewed forth like a cloud of burning, super hot plasma, excite electrons contained by a powerful magnetic field as they race far and wide, spreading hellish red illumination and destruction. Take it away, Gummels, with your theme to Nosebleed. theme to Nosebleed. Hope you enjoyed that. Gunwallers, thank you so much for that. You're always a genius giving us beautiful music. So, after that, we have the actual Quackcast topic. Oh my god, guys. Isn't it amazing how long it takes to create everything and how short it takes to enjoy it? It's just one of those things. But yeah, it's in life. Life is made up of a series of fleeting moments that we exaggerate the importance of massively, even though life
like tears in the rain.
Like tears in the rain. But life consists of in reality, life consists of a lot of long, boring crap. But we only remember these kind of striking instances because that's how our brains work. Because our brains can't store all this stuff. There are some poor, not pathetic, but very pitiable, poor people whose brains are damaged in such a way that they can't ignore all the crap. That their poor old brains are aware of everything as it happens, just recording it all and taking it in. How tedious and boring their life must be. It's like when you're a child, when you're a little kid. Your brain, you don't know much about the world, so your brains are constantly active and taking everything in. That's why everything seems to take forever. That's why time seems to be so slow when you're a child. It's because your brain is massively sucking in everything, trying to make sense of the world. And yeah, it just makes everything take so long. But there are some people whose brains never stop doing that. And life to them must be interminable. So those poor old people, I cannot imagine how awful life must be for them. So that would be a horrible, horrible thing to happen, I think.
It is something that will definitely hamper you, because the mind, as you said, is like we are wired to filter out, tune out things that should be in the background to let us focus on the stuff that is going to be important either for survival or to be able to make estimated decisions about what to do, and then go on further to be creative, to be able to do all these other functions that we are doing as people, as humans.
And stay sane too.
And stay sane, because that is a thing, by the way, which is that you mentioned it, that if you get to constantly be bombarded with stuff that you cannot tune out, it might actually cause you to act out. There is a correlation to that.
Is that an element or a sort of connected to autism? I know this episode's not about that.
Maybe ADHD.
It depends on how you define it and what you are looking at, because there is a theory. I am not an expert on autism, so I don't really know to be like super like this is how it's I don't know that, but from my basic rotation, let's say there is an issue of hyperstimulation. Everything feels louder, everything feels more intrusive, and everything feels like overwhelmingly higher in volume, whatever that volume
the sensitivity is increased.
That's one thing, but beyond that, it's not only an issue with people on the spectrum. It can be an issue that is unrelated to people on the spectrum, and it could be having auditory hallucinations, for example. Like your brain creates the noise instead of receiving it from the outside, and that goes more towards like schizophrenia and schizoid issues that you may be handling. And then again, you get the same thing. You are overwhelmed, overstimulated. You cannot make decisions very easily. Yeah. And then you have psychotic breaks, which is like everything is
but
off.
That's to get back to the more neurotypical though. I mean, so
Yeah.
so there are easy phenomenons that happen because of this. One of the things is being absent-minded and forgetting stuff. Like, did I make the cup of tea just then? Did I put sugar in my tea? Did I turn the kettle off? And you forget those things not because you're going senile or something demented. It's simply because this is an example of that. Your brain is going on autopilot. It's not paying attention to routine things. It's doing them automatically, or not even doing them automatically. You're doing them, and you're totally aware when you're doing them, but you're not recording them. Your brain isn't making memories of every frickin' thing you do. So it's just gone, and it comes and it goes because your brain is only thinking about the important things, because that's how what happens.
Yeah, especially with things that are so well practiced that, like, for example, driving, you don't remember putting the key in the ignition, putting in first gear to start. I drive stick, so putting in first gear and to start, ease on the pedal and go. Your brain doesn't care anymore. You did that when you were learning, and then you wouldn't be able to focus on anything else but driving the car. Now that you know how to drive the car and it is second nature, your brain doesn't pay attention to that. And that's fine. That's fine. You pay attention to the road, not how you are driving the car, which is why you should be on the road.
Exactly. And that's why I say normal people, neurotypical people, like move naturally. Well, as you get better at kinds of things like dancing and all that kind of thing, you move very naturally because you're used to it. But say if you're Elon Musk and you're not a normal person, you move like a robot because he doesn't know how to move like a human. So.
That's another thing. If you have inhibitions, your brain inundates you with second guessing, and that inhibits you from actually being smoother in whatever you're doing.
It's like when you're walking along and you see like a pretty girl or a pretty guy, it depends on what you're into, and suddenly, oh my god, I have put this foot in front of this foot and I'm walking stiffly. I'm self-conscious. I don't know how to walk anymore like an old person.
Going like we're completely off topic, but I have to say this. And like one thing that we like in my field that we hate that happens is that, I don't know, at least over here and in Europe you have it a lot, is that when you go to like a cafeteria or somewhere where you're supposed to chat with other people and stuff, they always have like frigging screens everywhere, like TVs playing 24/7, or music that is above a certain threshold, without it being like a disco or a club where that's what you are going for. I'm talking about places where you are supposed to be doing human interaction more than other things, and that can mess up with your concentration, can mess up your brain, and it can put a big wedge between you and other people, because you cannot be completely 100% into this interaction that you're doing. And it's not your fault. It is designed, like a screen is designed to draw your attention.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you are constantly fighting being distracted. And that shouldn't be allowed, is what I'm saying. And of course, nobody pays attention to the scientists. So yeah.
One more point I will make on this thing before we get back into the fleeting greatness of things, is the phenomenon of like when something bad's happened, like the fight or flight reaction. So if you suddenly find yourself in a fight or a car accident or something like that, time seems to slow down. And the reality that, of course, time doesn't slow down. It always goes at the same bloody rate. That's just how time works. but your awareness of things, you're taking in and recording everything as if, you're a child, the way a child sees things. And that's just because your brain has to turn on and has to record those things because it has to find a way out.
Yeah.
Or keep you safe.
It's hyper-focusing. And it is an adaptive, reflex in a sense, like a reaction.
So that's how time seems to speed up and slow down. It's just turning on our awareness or not. And it's not people think, if I could just do that, life would seem to last forever, but it would be really tedious, like we're saying. It would just suck because it wouldn't last any longer. It would just be a lot more boring. But speaking of boring and fascinating and fun, we have these, like a good example of this is comics will take us forever to create. Like, I've looked back over some of my comics. Oh my God, it took me years and years to finish a bloody chapter of Pinky TA. And I know for a fact that someone's going to read through that. It's going to take them like a few minutes. Like, maybe if they took their time, for the whole chapter, it'll take them like, I don't know, half an hour, or not even that, take them 20 minutes. If they're taking their time, it'll take 20 minutes. And even though that took me like years to create, but that's not a bad thing.
No.
That doesn't mean like I've wasted all my time. That's because that's how creation is. And it can still create a big moment in their brains, even though it took them like maybe less than a minute, 30 seconds to read a whole page, because that's how we are. That's how awareness of things is. It only takes 30 seconds to create a massive lifelong impression. I mean, not that my page will do that. It probably will be forgotten. But if it could, if I was lucky enough to have that, strikingness in their awareness, then we all have the potential to create something that's going to create that lasting impression. Look at, Michelangelo's David. Look at The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci. I'm not comparing my stuff to that, because obviously my stuff is not of that league at all.
Your stuff is way better than...
I know, right? But the thing is, that stuff exists, and that stuff is still remembered to this day. And like it's imitated and remixed, and people do their own versions massively, and it inspires a million different things. So there you are. So what are the other things we mentioned? Baines, I think you were talking about like actors and things in movies. Was that your thing on the
on Patreon we were talking about how like actors are. This is a little bit of a variation on the topic, I want to say, maybe not, but like actors will be questioned about things, and if they're in something really popular, or directors or writers or composers or whatever, they did something maybe a year, multiple years, or decades ago, people will be constantly referring to this one thing they did, maybe one movie that they love or whatever, and they'll be asked about it over and over for decades, for their whole life, kind of thing. And I do remember like old Beatles interviews that I've seen. I don't know a ton about the Beatles, but I've seen some stuff and interviews and things where the Beatles would be not really into answering questions about old stuff, that when they've answered the question a million times and talked about these songs a million times, they were a lot more interested in the new stuff they were doing, whereas everyone else was a lot more interested in the classics, and a lot of the new stuff they were doing would become big things too later. But that was always interesting. To me, for famous people anyway, from what I've seen, that culture has changed a lot. People seem to like talking about and reliving those old things that people love, whether it's for financial reasons or whatever. They're pretending that they're into it still, so that's kind of interesting.
They are now. You're right.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. Yeah, like the people will talk about it.
Oh yeah,
You know,
I've had interviews with people, and people say, "Oh, you must get so sick of this," and they say, "No, Jesus, I'm happy people remember me from this. This is good."
mm,
Because I think part of it is the relationship with social media that it's created. Because now people think, if I've got a big social media following, I can monetize it and all this, and other people just feel it's, oh my God, this is love. This is like a this is something that this is affirming for them. This is a
sure.
huge support network, or this is joy for them because my God, other people love me. So yeah,
Absolutely.
of course I love things that other people love about me. So you don't. So no longer do you. I mean, you still do get people who are bitches about stuff, but
Sure.
it's become less that you have these wankers who go, ugh, the fans, I hate them. They just like me because of this part I did in Star Wars or whatever. That kind of dickhead behavior.
Yeah, or they're dismissive of it or whatever. Well, this is not a criticism of Kevin Bacon, but I think specifically of Kevin Bacon. Seems like a great guy, and all that stuff, but he was very dismissive of Tremors many times.
Oh, what? This is his best film ever.
Yeah, he later said he was going through a hard time in life when he did the movie and everything like that. But yeah, he was not big on it. That's sort of expressed that he thought it was stupid and this is I'm trying to get onto something better and all this kind of stuff. Has definitely changed his tune later. But yeah, and I agree. Did you say it's his best movie? It's definitely his best movie. So
yeah, I wasn't being facetious. I think it is.
I love that movie so much, and other people do too. And then he tried to get a remake, a series going. So it's oh yes.
Was he in the series?
They tried. I think they did a pilot. I don't know if it's watchable anywhere, but yeah, it didn't go. But
I mean, I know there was a series, and it starred the guy from Family Ties.
Yeah, there were multiple sequels, and there was a series, but Kevin Bacon wasn't in any of them. But then Kevin tried to do a new a reboot or a remake or a sequel series. I guess it didn't fly.
Oh, well, that's a shame because he would have been better. I didn't like the series that I saw. I thought it was shit.
Seen them, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's the kind of thing you can revisit over and over anyway. So
I think it is if you could do it well, because they did do it with the movie. Okay, so the first movie is fantastic. Second movie is just the retread of the first one, sort of mixed in a way. The third movie is a piece of shit to me. And the third movie is what the series is based on. And
oh, really? Is that the one where they go back in time, or is it some?
No, I love that. That's the fourth movie. I love the going back. Most people hate the fourth one where they go back in time, but they don't go back in time. The movie is set back in time.
Right. Yeah, the Old West.
And I thought that was just fantastic. That was a return to the greatness of the first one. But yeah, other people don't agree.
Anyway, the point being, yeah, the culture seems different now with actors and stuff. They think that maybe it's for, I don't want to be cynical again, but it could also be I could make money from this. I should go where the people's interest is, kind of thing. People like horror, now I will embrace horror. That annoys me a little bit, if I'm honest, but it's nice to I love hearing Jeff Bridges talk about the dude in every interview, because everybody loves the dude. He kind of embraces that stuff.
He is the dude.
He is that guy. Yeah. So
he's the dude.
Yeah.
But Tantz says that Tantz can't talk at the moment because there's dogs yelling around her. Tantz says Tchaikovsky, she thinks he hated the Nutcracker and even dismissed Swan Lake. And these are the things that are so great. I mean, to further this whole momentary stuff, Swan Lake is this amazing ballet, but it has this one one little musical piece from it, that the dance of the whatever it is,
Oh, of the baby swans, the dance of the baby swans.
Da, 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 da,
Yeah,
da, 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 that we all know and we love it, and that's only like 3 minutes, and out of the entire ballet, that's all most people ever hear or ever remember. And
yeah.
it's just that part.
The thing is that why did Tchaikovsky thought that the Nutcracker was, I mean, as far as I remember from what I read, like take it with a grain of salt, he didn't think that it was a good representation of what he could do, like of his work. But he got famous with that, or anyway, people really loved that. And whereas he worked a lot more on Swan Lake, and he got like the worst oh my God, the critics completely trashed it, at least at first, saying that it was too complicated for ballet as music. And he had this bitterness in him for this. It's like when you doodle something and it blows up on social media, and then you post your like magnus opus painting and nobody cares.
Oh God, yes. Oh my God. But yeah, so Nutcracker, we love that just for again another 3-minute piece, which is the Nutcracker Suite. Just that. Da 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 da. I love that. That is the most perfect piece of music ever, and that's only like just like 3 minutes, and not the whole of the rest of the Nutcracker. Nothing about it. Just that, and that's all it takes. That is like 3 minutes long, but that's massively infested all our brains. That's infested culture to be a major thing, even though it's so short, which is just such an amazing thing to me. That's a perfect example of this stuff, the fleeting, that fleeting greatness, but it has such a huge nuclear bomb impact.
Yeah, true.
There we are, the Nutcracker Suite. Excellent example, Tantz.
Oh, thank you. But and it's not only like these are the greatest talents humanity has to boast over, but it happens on all levels of talent, I would say, and everything. Yeah,
like we're saying, like even in the moments of time during the day. Like,
exactly, or even just something as a pedestrian as an ad. Like you may have an ad stuck in your brain and remember it for years. Like I have some ads that I saw when I was like 10 years old or 20 years old, and I still remember them. That's how much of an earworm and impactful, quote unquote, they were. So
yeah,
exactly. Silly, meaningless pop songs. We still remember them to this day. Just a few minutes long, and it creates a lifelong impression.
Or even stuff that you hate to remember. Like there is one song that I hate, but it's always like periodically like plagues me. And that is Don't Worry, Be Happy. I hate that song. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. And like, it gets under my skin immediately in fractions of a second.
Look, Tantz, don't worry.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm going to jump out of my skin to throttle the guy. But I remember it. And I will never forget it, apparently. So
Yeah, the earworms. Earworms is what they are. The only way to get rid of an earworm, I can't remember. I mean, there are a few ways. If you replace it with another earworm, that can get rid of it. But then you've got another earworm. But I think if you can remember the whole of the song, you can get rid of an earworm. Because usually an earworm only gets in your head if you only remember the chorus. I can't remember. I haven't had one stuck in my head for ages, but it can be a nightmare. Earworms are beastly. How do you get rid of an earworm, Baines? Tweezers?
Well, my friend had one. I knew this guy who had a bad one, and luckily it crawled out the other ear.
That can be, especially if there's no brain in between. That really helps.
Yes, exactly. It turns out it was pregnant, though, so that was horrible.
Oh, damn it! You had one of those.
This is a reference to an old horror show that was a filmic earworm for me. I think it was maybe Night Gallery, where a guy had an earwig that 1,000,000 to 1 crawls out his other ear, but then it turns out, he was pregnant.
Oh no!
So he's gonna die after all.
What about the famous one in Wrath of Khan?
Yes, exactly. That stuff is man, I really don't like that stuff, and that is a visual earworm for me. When something comes on that I know it has that kind of horror in it, I cover the screen.
Same. Insect-based horror is disgusting.
Yeah,
for some reason.
Not fun. Yeah.
Oh, I get.
Like I love Creepshow, the movie Creepshow, but I always cover the screen for the last story. It's about bugs.
Oh.
Just can't do it. Don't want it in my mind.
Oh dear. Okay, so Tantz mentioned something like we put we spend ages on a magnum opus painting or comic or whatever. We put it online, no one notices it, and we put this stupid sketch, and that's the thing. Everyone knows. So have you guys had anything like that, Baines? Have you had something?
Oh boy, like something I didn't care about that got a lot of notice, and something I thought was really good. Probably, but it does. I don't know, not to a really notable level. I do a lot of 3D stuff that I've worked harder on. Kind of looks worse than the 3D. That's kind of a lot easier. So I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I know something from a classic example, like a band that. There's lots of bands that have created music that they spent ages on, and the thing they didn't even care two shits about becomes what they're known for.
Right.
That's happened many times.
Oh yeah.
Warrant, which is one of the last great, what they call now hair bands, but they were, great 80s heavy metal bands. Yeah. They did their song Cherry Pie in I think 91 or something like that, or 1990. Yeah. And cherry pie. She is my cherry pie, and it's just a classic song from the era. About sex and fun and stupidity, and it's just over the top. They hated it. That was a song that they didn't even want to do. It wasn't even done for the album. They were just told they had to have another song for the album. And so they recorded it the day before they were meant to have the music done for the album completed, just because they needed an extra song. And now that becomes what what they are absolutely known for out of everything. They're not known for anything else.
Yeah,
they're just known for that
huge.
Song. Yeah.
Although I think, was it the album before? This will be quick digression. I apologize.
Go for it.
Heaven isn't too far away. Is that them? It is.
Could
isn't
be.
It?
I don't know. I only know that's famous.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Cherry Pie.
I think maybe Cherry Pie was their next album, but could have been the same album. I don't know. But yeah, Cherry Pie just seems to capture a very specific 80s metal kind of. It just captures something, whether it's to be cool or more often I think to be ironically, it's playing an ironic moment or something like that.
It is, but it's
It
just over the top.
For some reason, it struck a nerve. Yeah,
It did. It struck a nerve, and now that is one of those like notable songs of that era. Yeah,
and still does strike a nerve. Yeah, like when it shows up in a movie, it's like, it just seems to capture something, some specific thing. I don't know.
Yeah, even though they hated it and it didn't take a lot of effort to create.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know. Like, there's been so many moments like that. It's hard to sort of even think about. Like, it's just
so many
things
where you thought something. You mean something of yours was not that great, and people loved it, and vice versa.
Yeah, happens all the time. Like every time I create something that takes me forever, that's okay. And then you do something that this is a quick sketch. Oh my god, that's great. That's fantastic. That's brilliant. So
it's so funny.
Just how life goes.
I remember one instance. I'm sure there were more, but one instance that stuck with me, and I remember it to now. So when I was just starting in my put my stuff online career, I had this elfwood gallery, if you remember elfwood, and I made literally on the back of a test that I was taking at the time. Like I was a senior, I think, in college or sophomore or senior, somewhere around there. So I drew on the back of that scratch paper test this silhouette of a woman in an Art Deco style, of a Sagittarius, that her hair swept, like she was in a profile, and her hair swept around and created the bow. And and it was literally like, it wasn't even a good profile. It was nothing. It was nothing good. It was just practice for me, like to scan it and then try to create a vector out of it, and that failed as well. But I digress. Anyway, I put it up because I didn't have anything else to put up on the gallery, and it blew up. It was such a freaking success. People made it people actually put it on their bodies as tattoo.
Whoa!
Yeah, and even it got even like poached to put on mugs and stuff without my permission. Like, it was notoriously popular, and nothing else gained that traction. I have no idea why people like this thing.
Wow!
Yeah, constantly try and match it after that. Never can.
Yeah, there was like, and anything else I made, even like I even tried to make like a series of all the entire zodiac, and that nothing was as popular as this frigging Sagittarius doodle.
Wow! Do you still have it, or is it easy to find?
I would try to find it somewhere. I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to just Google Sagittarius tattoo silhouette and see if it comes up. Just one moment.
It's possible. It's possible. I mean, Google is not as good as it used to be for this stuff because it's taken on social media and Reddit and all this other bullshit. So it's not as good, but you can still find stuff sometimes.
This is another sort of a tangent, but this topic.
The third option. It is the third option.
Oh my god! Wow.
12 amazing Sagittarius tattoos, and mine comes up.
Oh my god!
Why is it amazing? Why is it amazing? I don't know. It's not amazing. I'm going to just put the link.
Go for it. Oh, so Bans, tell us what was that?
And
well, I have this friend who she's like deleting all her old tweets. She's embarrassed because she used to say all these horrible things. Apparently, he was just telling me about it recently. And so she's working on deleting all this old stuff. And it occurs to me that it's strange, and it applies to artwork too, or any creative work or anything that was done long ago, that those are like, we're different. That's the reason that I think a lot of artists like don't like maybe talking about their old stuff or whatever, because they've moved on. But it's also like they were different people. I think I've heard the Beatles say that, like, well, I was a different person when I wrote that. It was quickly written, but I was a completely different person. I saw the world differently. You definitely will hear authors saying that, like, when I wrote that, I was just a completely different person. So I think of like even like old tweets or old messages or old expressions online that are still there, frozen in time. Those are completely different people. That's why I really, I have a tough time with people who get in big trouble for tweets or for statements made so many years ago. It's like,
that's a good point.
It always bugs me.
That's a good point. Okay, so yeah, we are not the same people as we were when we did something. We can't always be past recordings of stuff we've done are of us as we were then, but people have to be allowed to be recognized for their changes. You're not what you were as a child, and you're not what you were 20 years ago. Yeah, that's a good point. That's interesting.
And there's nothing, I don't think that means there's anything wrong with enjoying those old things or saying, well, that was the best thing for me that artist did, or that's my favorite thing. That's fine. I think that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But to have like sort of limit people to just that, or expect them to be that same person, or that artists like try to recapture something, or bands or whatever try to recapture an old flavor when they're writing their new stuff. Definitely understandable, but it can sometimes be very hard to do.
That is quite hard. Tantz, by the way, your Sagittarius picture, yeah, I've seen that before. I think I've seen that when you've had it in some of your other art. I'm not sure, but yeah, I recognize that. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah,
it's still like, I say that it was done like when back then I used to date with my signature. I also put the year, so it was in 2004, which is like 20 years ago that I made this. So
before Baines and I were born. That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
We're lying.
Wow, well, I'd be interested to see your other Zodiac, other attempts, if you still have them. But this one looks awesome. I can see why people like it. Really cool.
All right. Okay.
But I don't know why that and not other things. Yeah, like, who knows, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I have no idea. And I don't think I have the other ones, unless I can find like my old Elfwood gallery, if it still exists, maybe there. But
I think Elfwood does. It deletes everything, unfortunately.
So, yeah. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, okay, so the idea of, people being sort of known for things that they had done, so that's only goes for good stuff, but that goes for the bad things, not the bad things they did, but, like, say someone said something crap on Twitter, like 10 years ago or whatever, and people will refer back to that tweet, or they said something crap in a high school yearbook, and people refer to that and say, oh my god, look how shit this person is because of what they said. But this represents them in a particular time, in a particular world that doesn't exist anymore. So you really,
we're in a constant state of change. And one thing that, like, that old stuff still existing, even more so now on the internet and stuff like that, is like, that really does show us, like, wow, how quickly culture is changing. People change, everything changes. Like, it's quite fascinating, actually. Like,
I mean, especially like if you look some films, like some comedies would never get made today.
Oh man, amazing.
Like what's the
Revenge
think-
of the Nerds.
Yeah.
or even like what's the one with Jackie Chan and
Oh, Rush Hour.
Rush Hour? Yeah,
Yeah.
like all the jokes are way too racist for today's.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand it even back then, to tell you the truth. And I like Jackie Chan.
I like Jackie Chan too.
Oh yeah.
I liked his ones with Owen Wilson better. Those films were much more funny.
Oh, the
Yeah,
Western- Yeah.
those were so thoughtful. Actually, if you consider how many like nods to classics are in these movies, that he pays, like Jack Chan pays homage to so many other movies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
He's amazing. He's incredible. Incredible guy. Speaking of Jackie Chan, one of the things that I really remembered him from was what was that one? Cannonball Run 2. And for years I just kept thinking, and he's only in that for a very brief time.
Is that a
Very,
Burt
very
Reynolds? Like the old? He
What's
couldn't
that?
be. You're talking about the old, like Burt Reynolds
Yeah.
movies? Jackie Chan was in one. Wow, he must have been pretty young, I would imagine.
I think so. Cannonball Run 2. Let's look it up. I could be wrong again, like my Spinal Tap Simpsons thing.
Oh.
That took 10 minutes to
I've
find
never
out I
seen-
was wrong.
I've never seen it, so I have no idea. I was just asking.
You haven't? Oh my god, Cannonball Run movies. They're so great.
I'm sure I've seen the first one, but I don't remember anything about it other than Dom DeLuise wearing the superhero mask. I think that's it.
Oh. Well, the second one's better.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. Definitely, second one was way better.
Probably a bigger
First
budget
one's-
for a movie like that is helpful.
Oh yeah. First one was not really that great, but yeah, then they pulled out all the stops on the second one. Okay, so am I going to be wrong? I don't know. I've done a search. Probably is not going to come up. No, I'm right. Oh my god, I'm right. I'm right in something. I cannot believe it. Okay.
Nice.
Yes. 1 love. 1-0. Jackie Chan was the Subaru driver. Kind of playing a Japanese guy.
And what year was Cannonball Run 2?
Oh, damn.
80s? Early 80s?
Oh, it says Cannibal Run, not Cannibal Run 2. So maybe he's in the first one. So it's 1981.
Okay, wow. Yeah, he must have been like a kid, right? I don't mean a kid, I mean like maybe a 20-something or a early
Yeah,
20s?
he was pretty young. I thought he was in the second one too. I don't know. The second one was better. 1984 was the second one. And he was in... No, I think someone else was in it. Oh, no, he is in that too. Oh, my God. He's in both of them. So there we are.
Nice.
Fantastic. He's third.
How
Hollywood
old was
role.
Jackie Chan? Born in 54. So he was in his late 20s / he was 30 in the sequel. So there you go.
Oh, well, there you go. Wasn't that young.
Yeah.
Oh, glorious films. Massive impact for me. Saw them in the 80s, and I still remember them now.
Nice.
Because, yeah, not only is it like, a real kind of snapshot of the 80s, but it had all these amazing stars from the 1960s and the 50s in there. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
what's his name? Sammy Davis Jr., Jamie Farr, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin. Yeah, so those guys were in it. In both the first and the second, so there you are.
I've been
and of course
revisiting
the
some of the mid '80s like vampire movies. Remember, it was all about vampires way back then in movies and stuff. And so I've been like stuff like that I loved as movie rentals when I was a young kid or whatever. Been watching some of those again lately, and they are nice. They do scratch this nostalgic.
All right, 80s vampire. Well, for me, that's Lost Boys.
Yeah, Lost Boys was never my fave. People love the people love that one. It's the most popular, but I love Fright Night. I love Vamp.
Okay.
Yeah,
Near
Near Dark.
more serious horror films.
Well, Fright Night is pretty light. Vamp has got a lot of comedy in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're sort of modern day twists on vampires, just very much like Lost Boys. Near Dark is like modern vampires. It's more serious and dark and stuff. But,
Did you ever see the series Forever Night?
No.
Now, that's a Canadian series, so you've lost your Canadian card now, Baines.
Dang it.
Again. You gotta get it back.
Shameful.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a series about a vampire who becomes a police detective.
Oh.
And hides his vampireness. It's pretty awesome. 90s, though, not 80s. But that's good.
That's probably why I haven't seen it. Is it Forever Night with a K or just with an N?
I think it's with a... No, I don't know. I thought it was a K.
I can look it up anyways.
I could be... I could be going back to being wrong about stuff again.
Nobody's perfect. I'm not trying to catch you in a mistake. Really.
You caught me with The Simpsons. I'll never forget that.
You're not leaving that in this episode, are you? This long discussion about which Spinal Tap members were in The Simpsons and all that?
No, that's for no one. That's just for us.
It's lost forever.
All right, it is with a K. There you go.
Okay.
And is it even Canadian? Am I right about that? I don't know. It is. It's a Canadian television series. Yes, 2-all. I mean,
yeah, maybe
2-0,
I did see
whatever.
it. It must have been on TV, So maybe
Yeah, freaking awesome. I would watch that series again. It's really good. All right. Anyway, so we've got 2 minutes to go in this fleeting piece of triumph of human creativity in the world of mediocrity. And the call's going then in under a minute, so this Quackcast is gonna end. So yeah, lost like tears in the rain and feathers in the wind.
Yes. This topic had so many directions it did go in and could have gone in, but a lot of fun, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I love the mental health stuff we started off with. That was
right, and definitely didn't expect it to go there. Yeah.
Yeah, me neither, honestly. But I always nerd out when I'm baited with mental health stuff.
Yeah.
So.
For sure.
Oh, well, before the call ends, we've got to say goodbye, everyone. Thanks for listening to Quackcast number 710.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.